Hey, what's up, man?
P12 for me ran 20th to 30th actually most of the race. And I got to tell you, it's humbling when you're running what you deserve. And I felt like that's where I deserved to run. You know, I was about 20th fast at the most. But green flag stops eventually happened. I actually spun on pit road on my green flag stop right at the entry. And once I got past from slowing down and I went to the left, I went to the right, and it went around on me. Um, So, tires were toast. I came out 30th after that green flag stop. I finally got a caution 23 laps later. I was tempted to stay out, but Chris, I was glad you're there. You were my voice of reason. You told me to pit and forget the wave around. It was a good move because 13 laps later, a caution did come out. I stayed out on that one, got my wave around, and then another quick caution so I could get tires. And so back on the lead lap on the same cycle of tires, and it worked out real good. At that point, we were close to the end, and we started wrecking the whole time. Uh, Worked my way up as they did it, and P12. So good setup by teammate Greg Hectus. I was running. It was real stable. David, you ran the same set from Greg, but had a better result.
Yeah, I managed to get top five. The I managed to stay out of trouble thankfully, and Seth kept me going. And last set of pit stops, I overdrove the car and tried to slow down, and I think I just misjudged my gears because I guess I ended up shifting down to first and spun into the wall. So by the time I got my damage fixed and everything, I finished fifth.
You had a third going though, right?
Yeah, like we were on a super long green flag run, and I guess the leader came up on a lap car with I guess the leader's tires were smoked and wrecked, and that's what caused the caution. Otherwise, I'd have finished third if we'd have stayed green because the guys behind me I was pulling away from because they'd smoked their tires way earlier.
Yeah, good run for you. Long time coming, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had a pretty good finish at Daytona. I'm starting to, I feel I'm starting to put consistent, top 10, top fives together, so it's working for me.
And Chris, you ran, and I wrote down after your race, caution fest.
Oh yeah, it was a nightmare. But yeah, I wasn't particularly good anyway. We had our set that we had from our anonymous donor, and when we first got it, it was only good from probably lap 5 to maybe 15 in the run. It was kind of rough to drive in the first 5, and then it just completely went away after about 25 laps, and that was the set I ran. So it was a kind of a rough race, but ended up with a P10. It wasn't a bad finish. And I believe I had thought all week that Gregory had built his set off of kind of a modded VRS set, but I just found out the other night, I didn't know if you're aware, that was actually our anonymous donor set that he had tweaked up.
Oh.
So yeah, it ended up being an awesome set.
Yeah, we had a lot of sets where we were working, and different people were trying different things, and very interesting. All right, let's talk Thursday fixed. Teammate Greg Hectus, he finished seventh. He lost his sound on lap 50 from that point on. 13 to go, he was restarting second, uh, and anyway, he ended up seventh. Teammate Tyler Conroy wrecked pretty early. Justin finished his second week running inside the top 10, but get wrecked. He said it's getting old. And then Friday night, Greg Hectus ran P7 in the Open. was black flagged with 24 to go and got lucky as he was down pit road when the caution came out. Raced his way back through all the lap cars after starting 18th and got up to 7th. Chris, not so good for you there.
No, I had a pretty good race. Ran that hectic set, and yeah, it was fast. It was awesome. It would absolutely just destroy guys after about 10 laps. I mean, their stuff would be burned up, and mine and Greg's stuff would just roll by him. We had a lot of fun that race, but I think I was running top 5, top 10 with a couple laps to go, and got wrecked and finished a couple laps down.
Yeah, one guy I run with sometimes in my split, Jonathan Dickert, he was leading the points in Division Two after getting a Vegas win. His team, Fastlane, has been really stout this year. I think they had the top 3 positions in the points in Division Two. So congrats to those guys. Saturday fixed, Brandon Newhouse. We haven't talked about him much, but he is a teammate here with us. He doesn't run because he's been working a lot, but he did run Saturday fixed. P20 for him. He got into the fence, 3 minutes optional, couldn't hold the wheel straight. So bad race for him. Sunday Open, boy, that's an early race. You ran that, Chris. How'd it go?
That was rough. Actually, Tony, I believe you were spotting for me that race. I raced so much this week, I kind of got things mixed up. But yeah, I got black flagged for some other driver's garbage. You know, I didn't get. One guy was involved in a wreck, didn't get caught back up before pit road, and the other one was just a guy wouldn't get lined up before a restart. But made a couple laps back, ended up finishing a couple laps down, P14. But the car was fast. I had a blast that race.
Yeah, David, you ran that too, I think.
No, I didn't.
No, okay. And then Sunday night, P15 for me. I was actually as high as P9. Some guy clipped me going down the straight, lost all my track position, and it's so I couldn't pass at this track really. The only way I was making my way up are people wrecking or on pit road, kind of thing. Let's talk about Tyler Conroy. He had a problem with his pedals. He has these brand new V3 pedals, which are very popular, good pedals, well-known pedals. And he's been struggling with them. In fact, at Atlanta, he lost 500 iRating. And then at Vegas, he was struggling as well. And so he downgraded his pedals. He went back to his original G29 pedals. And guess what? Won the race on his old pedals. And he said, oh, I'm getting rid of those V3s. But, Will, you said he might have worked it out, right?
Yeah, he sounds like he was playing with some of the damper settings and messing with the springs. I think he's got those things back where he liked them. I think the initial pedal out of the box was just a little softer than he was used to. So, from what I understand, it sounds like he's got those things back working good. So,
well, he's got his confidence back anyway.
I think so. Because I was thinking about getting a set of those. So, I hope he figures them out so he can let me know what he does when he gets them. Because the G29 pedals are nice, but those Fanatec seem nicer.
Yeah, and then Chris, even though last night of the week, still a caution fest for you and Greg.
Yeah, it was another nightmare race. I actually don't even remember where I finished.
Yeah, it's one of those nights. Greg had a P23. He was a blown engine and came back right at the end and tried to get another spot. But
yeah, I think I ended up having a pretty decent finish out of that one just because of all the attrition. But yeah, I think you remember us cussing out our field pretty much the whole race. I think we were like 30 laps behind you guys running the same race. It was nuts.
yeah, you had like 4 cautions within the first 20 laps.
Yeah, it straightened out a little bit later in the race, but yeah, the first 50 laps or so we pretty much just ran under caution. It was not a lot of fun.
All right, let's talk. So that's Vegas. Let's talk Phoenix coming up. We have one set. It's a super set, and we'll talk about what that is in a little bit. I ran it a little bit today. Didn't really like the feel of it, but it doesn't fall off much. What do you guys think?
You still got to be easy with it, especially coming out of turn 4. I did about 15 laps, and after lap 5, I spun because It has grip. You still got to be easy with it.
Yeah, I ran a handful of laps with it. I haven't had a chance to run a longer run yet, but it definitely seems like it has speed. But my only problem is this is my first time at Phoenix, so getting that speed to onto the track is another thing.
Yeah, and we were talking about the backstretch cutting the dog leg. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Yay, nay? Only sometimes. I was telling David, a lot of people do it every single lap because it is an advantage, but you got to be able to hold it. And I only do it on occasion.
I honestly wish that it was just you couldn't do it if there was some way that they could, below the line is out of bounds or whatever. But the problem is, as long as it's an option, people are going to do it because it's faster.
Yeah. My problem was coming out of 3. Felt like the back was pinned, but the front was kind of moving around left to right, and it's kind of a weird imbalance. I don't know, but we'll see how it goes tomorrow. Let's jump to Road to Pro. We ran that in the truck series on last Tuesday night. Myself, P17. I got what I ran. I got tight on long runs, actually. But that's about what I deserved. That's probably a little better than I ran, actually. I think that was the highest I got all night was right at the end, P17. Flowers, you were out there almost dead last.
Yeah, me and Will took 2 tires just to see what would happen, and right as we were coming through 3 and 4, a truck just got completely sideways on me. I couldn't catch it, and about 8 people ran me over, killed my race.
Ouch, 2 tires is a tough call. Teammate Justin Laird, he actually led 99 laps, finished P4. Great race for Justin. I think that's his best finish in the Road to Pro. And then Phil Gary, new teammate, P3, ran top 5 most of the race. Started P2, fell back as far as 8th. And then Tony, your one race of the week. Tell us how you ran.
Yeah, my one and only and lonely race of the week. What a bummer. But anyways, this race was not a bummer. Um, Lots of fun, although I didn't start out very good. I totally missed my box on the first stop. I forgot what my number was and just drove right by it. I was looking for my pit crew. They might have been off having a ham sandwich because I didn't see it, but we were. It was pretty cluttered on pit road, so um, yeah, when it all rolled out, put me back to 25th, and I spent the rest of the race just battling back. And It was a lot of fun. And that car was so stable. I really enjoyed that set we had. But the last 5 to 10 laps was, kind of put the icing on the cake. I was racing Chris Scales for that last finish there, and he almost got me a few times, but I was able to fend him off and finished P9. So
Yeah, P9
Yeah.
for you, P10 for Chris.
Yep, one spot behind Tony. It was a fun race. He's right. The truck was fast. We both had a blast. I was running in the top 5, I think 5th or 6th, and got doored and knocked to the outside line and fell back right behind Tony. And he there's 2 different kinds of Tonys. There's the Tony that was riding around for, the first half of the race that was trying to save his stuff, and then there was that Tony for the last couple of laps that he drove his butt off, man. Couldn't get around him.
You didn't think about putting the old chrome horn in there?
No, definitely not to a teammate. But yeah, it's hard to pass there. You could get a run down low, but you couldn't pull off the pass, most of the time.
oh, and yeah, you tried coming to the inside of me, and I was like, oh, that's where I wanted you to be, because that outside lane was working really well for me, and um, I knew coming off the end of that corner there, I'd have been able to, at least maybe get a half a car length in front of you, and hopefully try and keep you there. But that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we did have a lot of fun. I actually did knock on his back door one time throughout the race because we had actually raced with each other a couple of times through the race, and I did give him a little bumper nudge once, but just as a little 0x, just something to say hi.
Yeah, that inside was tough. I mean, if you tried to pass somebody on the inside, it felt like you were going to push up into them, and it was really hard to pass down there. So that's Road to Pro. No race tonight due to week 13, so we'll see. We'll go get them next week. In other racing, let's talk official and GRC teammate Phil Linden ran some MX5 Cup car at Laguna Seca and got a P1 for qualifying and a P1 for the finish. And basically, they wrecked behind him, and he brought it home. So good race there. And then in GRC, also got a win, starting P3, finishing P1. So good job, Phil, on that. Won some heats and got another feature P2 and actually won with the fastest lap of the race. So I believe Phil is going to plan on running the upcoming Pro GRC series or Road to Pro for GRC. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Peak, they're running tonight. What do you guys think?
I
Might be
might
fun to
try to
watch.
catch a little bit of it, but I think I'm going to be doing some practicing for Phoenix tomorrow.
Yeah, I think
since,
we're going to
yeah,
run a
Sunday.
hosted race tonight, right?
Yep. And yeah, anybody's welcome to join, but obviously by the time anybody hears this podcast, it's going to be over.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens in Peak due to the supersets, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But let's go to topics. Will, you're first.
Yeah, so we started the week out, kind of like most builds, they kind of hype you up for the build, letting out some media content. I believe the first thing to leak was the pictures of the new IR18 Indy car. And they followed up with a video on Twitter shortly following, showing that thing in action. Next day we kind of got, I believe it was the Audi R18. We got a really nice video for that. About an hour later, they put the video out with the dirt tracks, a Lima Land and the Charlotte dirt track. We did get a really cool video of the Sonoma build, and they actually did a really good job, I think, of not showing too much content. You could definitely tell it was at Sonoma, but you couldn't tell the layout of the track at all. And then the final day of yesterday morning, sorry, they released the Porsche 919 hybrid video, so they really had enough content that they could kind of stretch it out throughout the week and kind of get everybody hyped up. I don't know if you guys saw any of those videos.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We first saw the IndyCar pictures, and they had some pictures of the new Pocono track, and it is actually paved down the backstretch, which I thought was interesting because that's the way it is now. And kind of neat to see those first shots. I kind of wish they would get these videos out a little bit sooner than 7 days before the build comes out. And they have tons of really good content, but it's all so sudden and all on top of each other. It doesn't really give each video justice,
Yeah, the quality of videos they're putting out now is phenomenal. Probably the best I've ever remember. But you're right, they stack them so much and so close. It gets you hyped up, but you're already a week away, so you're already excited. If they did it 2 weeks in advance, I think it would definitely help build up the excitement for the build.
Yeah, and like the IndyCar video with the new IndyCar, the sound or the music that goes with it is just phenomenal and really adds to it. But you get really hyped. You're like, man, I want to drive that. So pretty cool, neat way to use social media and video and obviously pictures to try to drum up interest for the upcoming build. I mean, I saw the Porsche video and I was like, wow, that thing looks awesome. And I think, David, I told you, hey, maybe we want to buy that Porsche instead of the Audi.
Nope, bought the Audi instead. Better pedigree.
But I think I like the Porsche video better.
Okay, that's fine, Mike. But when you look at the pedigree, Audi's kicked Porsche's ass.
All right. I like the look of the Porsche better, but we'll probably buy the Audi since you already bought it.
It's very hard and interesting to drive. You can't see hardly. The brakes are touchy. It takes forever to get to top speed, but man, is it exhilarating.
So it's got the low, medium, and high downforce
Yeah.
package, right? And we were talking about we might need like an owner's manual to figure out how to run this thing. It's got so many options and settings and stuff.
Yeah, it does. You can literally go in and change like when you hit the brakes, how much charge comes into your batteries, like your curve system and everything. Like it just yeah, it's a lot.
Let's talk about other content that we just talked about here. I mean, we talked about Sonoma GRC. Will, you and I jumped into practice earlier to run this track for the first time, and Christopher Bell from the Xfinity Series, Joe Gibbs Racing, joined us as well. And what'd you think of that track? Man, it was awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I'd say that hands down is probably my favorite GRC track to date. Mostly because how fast you're going. It's a lot of the other tracks you go fast, you slow down, you turn. This one, like, you go down the drag strip, you turn on to just dirt hill, and you go up the hill, and it's so fast, so high speed. There's going to be a lot less room for air on it. But yeah, hands down, the funnest thing I think I've raced. Kind of wrecked Christopher Bell a little bit. But yeah, no, that was a ton of fun. It's amazing how fast that track is compared to the rest. It's like the GRC super speedway at this point.
Oh yeah, I mean, going into the dirt section off the dragway, the drag strip is pavement, and then you turn off into the dirt, and you're in sixth gear, maybe going down to fifth, maybe not, and you're just flying through that dirt section, and it's really forgiving because if you miss it, it'll let you go off on the grass, and you just keep on going, and trucking. There's no 1X for off track or any of that. And it's really smooth, so you can pretty much save the car and keep going, and it's fast, man. Christopher Bell, on the other hand, this guy is an animal, man. Let me tell you, I looked at the times. I was looking at my fast lap, okay? What was my best lap? Because I felt like I got up to speed pretty good, and I was like pretty darn quick. And I look at my fast lap, and then I look at Christopher Bell's set of laps. And every single lap he ran, even his very first lap on a brand new track, every lap he ran was faster than my fastest lap. And his fast lap was 1.5 seconds faster than my fast lap.
Yeah, I got behind him coming off the jump, and you kind of come off the jump, you go down the drag strip, and then you kind of go backwards where the Indy cars run, on the big loop that the Cup cars kind of removed, I think, in like the mid-90s. And once we hit the dirt, he just was so smooth and just crept away from me like as if I had an extra 200 pounds on my car. So, yeah, he definitely gets it done. But yeah, it's hands down one of the funnest tracks so far.
All right, cool. It's amazing how fast he is. Yeah, I was just blown away by. He's in another level than I am, that's for sure. But it's fun. I'm going to get out there and race out some more. I was a little disappointed. It's week 13. It's a brand new track, and there's no series running at that track. Why don't we have GRC running at Sonoma right now? It's stupid.
Typically, from my memory, the week 13 series will rotate every day. So we'll have, like, I think Daytona today and something different tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if we have Sonoma in the next day or so.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be. I was disappointed to not see that. We had to actually go to Hosted to find a place to run. But yeah, everyone check that out. Sonoma GRC track is fast. And I was telling Will, at one point, if the tires get hot enough, you can keep that car in a constant slide the entire lap. I mean, where the thing is just always going, and it's fun.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that. Now that we have that track, I think we need more of that nature. Not that the other ones are bad, they just feel like short tracks where this feels like a full-size track.
Yeah, and you really, bringing speed through the drag strip part after the jump and into the hills there on the dirt. All right, Chris, you got the next topic.
All right. So the March build.
No, the huge news on 3 Dirt Pro Series.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Right above that release notes on. Yeah, I don't
I'm
know if
sorry,
you have
Mike.
the doc, but I'll take it. But Tyler Hudson, he said, posted up in the forums official information about the 3 Dirt Pro Series. So World of Outlaw, which is the sprint car and the super lates, and then GRC. And we knew this was coming, and this is the official announcement, basically. GRC is going to run on Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's going to start March 22nd through April 19th. It's going to be 3 heats, 2 consolation races, and a feature. The top 23 in points after the Pro Series are eligible for a World Championship Series license. And our teammate Phil Linden is planning on running for this, so I hope he does a good job. I can't. I would try it, but I have to work when this is being run, so I'll be at work. So I'm kind of bummed about the schedule. iRacing will pay more than $15,000 in total cash and prizes for this event.
I'm gonna run sprint cars, but I'm definitely gonna need Will's help.
Yeah, I need to figure out what I got to do to get these days off of work. The only thing I see that's kind of really odd about this is the late models and sprint cars run back to back within 1 hour, and I don't think that's enough time for them to run one set of races and then have a driver go do the others. So I think you're really going to have to commit to one or the other, and you're not going to be able to run both series, which I think is kind of a little disappointing, and I hope they tweak it a little bit. I think a 2-hour gap would be good. Because, 3 heat races, cautions, 2 consoles, that's going to take way more than 1 hour to get done. Especially the late models is like a 50-lap feature. So I hope they spread those out a little bit, because I would like to see people run both and not have to pick and choose. But all in all, I'm super excited for these series. I wish I had the time to run them.
I think that was the idea, so everybody could run both of them if they wanted to, but you're right, maybe the timing won't work up. Sprint cars are Monday nights, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and then an hour later, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, is the late models.
I want to run sprint cars just because I have more time in those. I don't have a handle on the late models yet, much less the super late with all the horsepower. So
Again, it's a day that I'm at work during that time, so I'm going to miss this as well. So I'm kind of bummed, but it's the same kind of deal. They have $15,000 in total cash and prizes, and the top people in points are going to get a pro license.
Yeah, the only thing I'm curious about is this is going to be snake splits. It's a 5-race series with 1 drop week, so I wonder. I'm not going to say a bad quality driver is going to make it. I think the cream will always rise to the top. But I'm just curious of, are we really going to get the best of the best at the top? Because you get 5-6 good guys in one race, and then the rest of the races aren't as good. That's going to bump somebody out. So I'm a little nervous. I know I feel like they're rushing this a little bit. But I'm sure they'll get the bugs worked out definitely for next year, for sure.
So when they run snake splits like that, how do the points work? Did everybody just get points equal all the way through the race?
All the different splits get equal points because they all have basically the same strength of field.
Yeah, and it's also open to all license. So I think the only way this is going to work is if we get 15, 20 different splits. If we are only going to get 10 splits, maybe 15 splits, that's going to be tough because you're really compressing those good drivers together. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens. I hope it works. I'm just a little pessimistic at this point, I guess.
Yeah, kind of same here, especially with the 5 race series. I mean, that's kind of short too, so I can see how you could have a guy that maybe isn't all that great, but he, lucks into a lot of good finishes
Yep.
and ends up making it.
Especially in GRC. I mean, because the Wreck Fest at turn 1 usually, and some unexpected people can win these events. You're right. If you make all 5 weeks, just doing that alone, and like if there's not a lot of people running, I mean, we might get people that are pros that are really probably not ready to be pro.
Oh yeah,
I
I
don't
wasn't
know.
even counting in the 1 drop week, so really that's only 4 weeks. I mean, you could get 4 lucky weeks put together.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I've raced a lot of these dirt cars. I really like the late models, like the sprint cars. I just prefer the late models a little bit, and I would say when there's good drivers, I'm a good mid-pack driver, but when you get a lot of these people out there, there's a lot of hazards. Like, a lot could happen because those races are so short. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody just kind of fails their way into this.
Yeah, cash on the line. 15 grand on each one of these 3 series, what we're talking about. So,
well, I think the cash is the next series this feeds into.
okay.
So this 5 race series, I think there's no prize money, but those 20, I think was it 23 drivers that make it, they're going to be the ones battling for the cash.
I see. Yeah, I encourage people to participate. And this is happening soon, March 19th through April 16th. So if I wasn't, especially Mondays, because there's no NIS on Mondays, man, I'd be all over this.
I think they've done a great job laying out their content as far as the World Championships, because we'll have late models and sprint cars Monday night, NIS or Road to Pro on Tuesday night. I don't know what's going on Wednesday. I think that's NIS.
NIS Open.
And then, yeah, so I think they've done a great job of, because there's so much content, they've divided it up very well.
Yeah, then Thursday's GRC Pro, and then Friday is the normal dirt night,
Well, I believe those are ending going into this series. I think what we're used to as dirt night is going to be Monday night World of Outlaws, Thursday night GRC.
All right, well, let's get into the next topic. Tony, what do you got?
Well, here it is, the 2018 Season 2 release notes. The updates here, we've all downloaded it, and we've been talking about it for weeks. But man, this thing is huge. The
It took a while.
Yeah, well, the forum post is it's probably 3 pages long. They just did a massive amount of updates. Some highlights. Additional functionality and performance enhancements for the iRacing beta interface, custom car classes, extensive rallycross race control updates, dirt oval cushion modeling improvements, complete hand-over-hand animations for all vehicles now, a whole brand new crowd system, and if you want it now, it looks like you got the 3D crowd. That's kind of neat. New cars, obviously, the Audi R18, the Dallara IR18, Porsche 919 Hybrid, the new Charlotte Dirt Track, and the Lima Land Motorsports Park, the Pocono Raceway track upgrade, and the Sonoma Raceway Rallycross. Now, I mean, this is just a tip of the iceberg of what's happening in the update. It is huge, and looks like they've touched on just about every little area that we all complain about, and it looks like a bunch of areas that we haven't complained about yet.
Yeah, absolutely. The custom car classes, Will, you were looking into that. What is that about?
From what I could tell, you could make different classes of cars. So say GT3, right now we know it includes like the Ferrari, the Audi, Mercedes, and there's a few of them, McLaren. That's a car class. So say if you want to do a race where you
Like
have,
hosted.
yeah, you want to host a race and you want to have, say, a oval race. You want like a pro car, so you get the super late model and the late model in their own class, and then you want to have some fun and throw the Miatas and the Pontiacs in. You can make that like the junior class.
Oh, I
So
see. You make your own class.
correct. So yeah. So say you want to mix it up and have a little fun. You could mix and match types of cars and classes. So it gives you just more control over those custom races. I know I did one the other day. It was like Oxford Plains and a Pontiac Solstice, and it was like 100 laps, and it was weird. It was fun, and I think that's gonna give those creative people much more options as far as how they host their races. So it'll be really neat to see what comes out of that.
Yeah, and I think the big one too, dirt cushion. That's where they have the buildup on the outside, and haven't had a chance to try that yet. But we probably need to get on a track and do a lot of laps to really see it.
I did some practice at Lima Land with a 0% track in the Wings 410, and then I did that with 75%, and I felt something. It definitely felt a little different, not as much. So I really think it is the laps on the track more so than the state of the track. So that's kind of what I got on that so far. Not a whole lot there, but it did feel a little different. I don't know if that was maybe just the changes to the Wing Sprint car, but yeah, I'm excited for that.
So speaking of dirt cars, there was a question put on the forums about the late models, and staff member Steve Reese. Well, he chimed in on this one, and let us all know what they've been working on. So he says they've updated front bump stop rate curves with more accurate data. The shock lengths and positions using more accurate data. They trimmed nose valance and door skirts in the model to more typical lengths and adjusted collision elements accordingly, as well collision elements in the nose and tail to allow closer racing per member suggestions and feedback. He also says here the net result is a more realistic attitude stance in terms of how the car stays up on the bars and how things look from the driver's seat. The left right hikes up more than the right front. Sorry, the left right hikes up more and the right front travels more. The car feels softer, more lively in general, and is just a lot of fun to drive. He had a ton of help from a few real life drivers, and everyone's pretty excited about it. Have you had a chance to check this out, Will?
It's late model.
Yeah, unfortunately not yet. I remember about 2-3 weeks ago they had the engineers there at Clint Boyer's shop, so I assume that's what they were working on. But no, I haven't got to try it yet. I watched some videos. It looks a little bit better, but between the new car, the new cushion, there's so much going on. It was kind of hard to tell what was causing what. I did get a chance to drive the Indy car, but not a whole lot yet on the dirt late model.
Yeah, I saw some pictures too of from the back, the super late up on the bars, so to speak, and it looks so odd the way the suspension sits and the way the car is riding on the chassis. But that's how those real life cars work, and I think it's interesting that iRacing is continuing to improve the dirt model, all the cars, and it's a work in progress. Even though it came out a year ago. They're still actively working on it.
Yeah, no, it makes me really excited. They did some stuff with the fuel in the sprint cars to kind of help manage the performance because people were kind of gaming the system a little bit there. The next big thing I think we're going to need is tire wear and proper fuel burn off. But the fact that they've put this much effort in is just, it keeps me excited for the new content coming out as someone who enjoys dirt racing, because that's a complex thing, and there's really no other sim out there that offers what iRacing offers as far as dirt goes. So they honestly could leave it how it is and still have no competition, but they're still striving to make it perfect, or as perfect as they can, and that keeps me going on the dirt side. So I'm really excited. They're putting a lot of effort into this.
Some of the things I want to point out in the release notes, besides what Tony mentioned, Rallycross, when you look at the relative box and you go through the Joker, it has a different color now, and it's real clear that you're in the Joker. And they fixed a bunch of relative things with the relative box as far as rallycross goes. Because if you recall, if you go through the Joker, it doesn't really keep track of where you're at compared to everybody else, and they kind of cleaned that up. Lone qualifying, they fixed an issue where ghost effects and skids were showing up from other cars. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but it's kind of weird. They finally fixed that. Another thing got released where you can program button pushes where two buttons together work as a separate button, so to speak. I haven't tried it yet. And then we talked about the spotter at the beginning of the race. There's a new setting in the app INI where you can change car low high at start equals 1, and you'll get a spotter immediately at the start of a race. So I'm thinking I might turn that on tonight just to test it. They worked on the animated pit crew a little bit. Crowds, we talked a little bit about 3D crowds. If you turn on high on crowd detail in your options, you'll get the additional 3D characters are added around the track. And just tons of stuff, guys. I mean, it is a quarterly build, and they did a lot of stuff. Okay. Chris, you want to try to take the next one? We lost Chris.
I'll take this one.
All right.
So, I'm probably going to mispronounce his last name, but Dave Kamer, he works with the tire model. He had a very long, lengthy, and in-depth post about the NTM V7 tire model that's more likely going to make it into the next build, and
The June build.
Yeah, it is probably the most crazy thing I think I've ever read. I mean, the thing is almost, I would say, 10, 15 paragraphs long. It is very in-depth about the way tires are made and how each component affects other components, and basically they're going to try to make the most realistic tire model they can without just trying to mimic what tires do. They're trying to make their tires be real tires and not just try to make the data work. But long story short, with the V7 variation, I'm going to actually kind of read what he put here. With the V7, the variation in lap times from cold to hot temperatures is much better. There is no longer a golden outlap syndrome, and the grip loss with temperature and fill over the limit has been improved, plus a whole lot of other good stuff. So it is it's definitely something worth reading, even if you don't fully understand it. It really shows what they're trying to accomplish and how they're doing it and the level of detail they go into.
The level of detail is what blows you away.
Yeah, they go into like how each molecule connects to this and what each individual material in the tire does. So it's not just
what happens at certain temps and all this stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. He basically describes the way he's modeling the rubber and the tires. He's doing it from the molecule level up. He's kind of reverse engineering a tire.
Yeah, wow, it was impressive to read, and even like I said, even if you don't fully understand it, it's worth taking the time. Just because I'm sure
you probably need to be a college engineer, a college graduate engineer to really understand this. I had to read sentences 3, 4, 5 times to try to grasp what I'm reading, because it's very technical, and it can easily go over your head, and it's like I think, Chris, you said your brain melted when you tried to read this.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, I read like the first couple of pages, and then I ended up skipping down just to the last page. But oh my gosh, it was ridiculous. Yeah, you have to be an engineer to understand what he's talking about, I think. I know it was way above my head.
Yeah, so he just kind of describes what he's doing and what he's been working on for these years. V7's coming out in June, and this is what it is. Now, what is it? I mean, I understand it's going to help fix the tire problems where there's temperature in these tires, and temperature affects the compounds accordingly, and the tires behave accordingly like they do in real life. And that's kind of what we're missing. And I think that's really going to lead into the next topic. And it's kind of interesting, the timing of all this, with the next topic that we're going to talk about, as well as the post from the founder of iRacing about the tire model coming out. So what else about the tire model? I mean, it's hard to just say out loud in a sentence or two what it's going to bring to us. It's just I think, an evolution of what we have now. You know, it's just the next evolution of it.
Yeah, and he actually answered some questions people posted up after he made the post, and there was a couple of things I wanted to know. One of the questions was, when will flat spots be modeled? And his reply was 95% of the behavior of a lockup is modeled already. But they're working on the remaining 5%, and it's on the to-do list, but it comes after rain, which I thought was a big thing. Also, he talked about tire failure in the future from excessive heat. And the biggest thing is, I'll quote him here, I don't want to overhype this. It'll be some kind of rapid deflation event. So it sounds like pretty soon we're going to be able to pop our tires if we overcook them. And flat spotting's not too far out, but we're going to have to get rain before that. So I'm thinking everything he's covered here, I would say we'll probably see within the next year and a half, 2 years max. And there's a lot of really cool stuff. You just got to sit through all the reading to kind of get to it.
Yeah, I'd like to see the melting beads like you would see in real NASCAR race. If you set up a car to where the camber is ridiculous and crazy, and you have a lot of heat on that inside edge or whatever, it melts bead and you lose a tire.
Yeah, right now the way people are kind of abusing and working around the camber settings, which we'll go into more here in a minute. I'll let Mike kind of go over that. Right now, there's really no penalty for running a lot of camber. And in real life, I'm sure we've all seen it where they'll blow out the inside bead because they got too much camber in it. We don't have that, and we're kind of cheating the system. And it sounds like, if not this next tire build, the one shortly after, like, they're going to solve this problem. Which is going to make building sets and everything a lot more challenging, and I'm going to say rewarding in the long run.
My final thought on this post by the founder of iRacing, who very infrequently posts. If you ever thought this wasn't a sim, you need to read this. I think this will prove to you this is literally a simulator. He's simulating to the molecule how sulfur and rubber compounds and oil interact with each other at different grip levels and different temperature levels. And it's amazing the kind of modeling that he's pulling off here. And it really goes to show you that it truly is a simulator. So let's go into the next topic, the big topic of the week, max camber and what's called now supersets. So let's dig into this. So all within a short, 7-day span, it's come to light that all the Open A teams, specifically the peak teams and the people running in NIS and people like us running the A car, it's become public now that people are running a particular set that has max camber, which means you run the tire just on the edge of the tire. You like twist that thing up so it's not making a good patch with the concrete, and you're only running on the edge of the tire. So that's what we're talking about. And these sets are basically have max camber. And what happens is there is some fall off, but at some point the temperature goes super hot on the tire, but nothing ever happens, and the fall off stays the same, and there is no fall off. And so that's really the problem here. So I'm going to read some of those posts from the forums about this to kind of give everyone an idea about what we're talking about here. So it all started with a post from Keegan Leahy who is the VRS setup guy, making the setups for VRS, and obviously a very well-known setup guy in the iRacing community. And he basically posted up what he thought about this issue and basically bringing it to the public eye. So I'm going to read a couple quotes here. So the Band-Aid last build made it so this camber thrust turned from a qualifying only trick and a funny forum topic into something required to race on at most tracks. What I see happening is the static camber limit getting reverted back down 2 degrees and max front ride heights getting reduced to 4 inches. All this will accomplish is force every single car to be at max camber and max ride heights until we finally get a fix to whatever effect is making 370-degree tires work better on long runs, not work. And so a friend of the podcast, John Hammer, actively involved in these discussions, pointed out that he's known this issue since 2015, and he reported it actually in the forums, showed us a link and everything of where he found the same problem 3 years ago and tried to bring it to light, and I don't think anybody really noticed. But it's been a problem the entire time, guys, and it's just now become popular or well known that everybody now is running these sets. Another quote, this one is the max camber deal. Just to be clear, it's not cheating. It's not cheating at all. Cheating would mean that you have access to something that someone else doesn't have, or you're using something that is expressly forbidden by the rules. iRacing has a tech inspection that takes place in the garage, and if you pass that inspection, you're allowed on the track. The people that are running these setups are exploiting a limitation of the tire model, but they're not cheating. Hopefully it'll be fixed in the new tire model version 7. It definitely creates a barrier to entry for people who try to read and learn about setting up their cars only to be barking up the wrong tree because of an obscure flaw in the physics engine. However, with that being said, there's always an area of the physics engine which is found and exploited. The best setup builders and teams put in hours, days, etc., attempting to find them and gain an edge on the competition. At some point, Todd Hendrick quoted or came up with the name called supersets. And so that's what people are calling it now, is supersets. And then the final quote on this topic from our champ Ray Alfala, he wrote up, "No one is cheating. They're making use of what the sim gives them. The issue is that this is probably the biggest discrepancy we've ever seen between a conventional setup and a superset. Generally, camber is a way to make some free speed, but the risk of overheating or blowing a tire. Right now, you can tell that the physics hate what we're trying to do to the cars as they dart around and react all funky. Even with this odd driving behavior, though, it's still the fastest way, and more camber is better. There's little to no consequence in running a ton of camber, and that is making things rather interesting. Hopefully, it's eliminated with the version 7 tire." So I almost think that David Kamer released his information about the version 7 tire as a way of saying, hey, this is what we're going to do about this, because this is obviously a problem. It wasn't addressed by today's build in any way, shape, or form. So this is going to continue to be a problem. We're going to have to run these max camber sets just to be competitive.
Yeah, but I think the smart guys are going to see this coming and adjust accordingly. It's something I think people will abuse for the rest of this build until we get the next set of tires, but those people who are only gaining speed because they're abusing it, they're going to fall out real quick with the change. Because, I mean, if we're able to blow out, say, the right front because we're playing with too much camber, that's going to be a huge advantage for people who are really taking the time to learn this stuff. So, yeah, no, it's going to be... Hopefully they can fast track this tire if it starts to become too big of a problem. But in the long run, I think it will work itself out.
The other thing I've noticed is I don't think anyone from iRacing has actually acknowledged this superset situation. I think maybe I saw Tyler Gibson put in some kind of comment, but it wasn't really an acknowledgement.
It kind of makes me wonder if iRacing has access to the setups we make. Because I almost guarantee you at the peak level, they've known about this for a while. They just keep it hush hush, do what they can to make themselves quick. As any team would if you find a little exploit or glitch or whatever it may be to make yourself quicker. You're going to take advantage of it. I just wonder if they're able to monitor and see what we are doing with our sets and think like, well, hey, why are these fast guys doing this and the slow guys not, and get more insight quicker, or do they just honestly not look or care, or just can they not see what we run? Because I bet you if they monitored everybody's setups, not to take information, but just to see what fast people are doing, they could probably catch these exploits a lot quicker.
Yep.
Yeah, and I wish they were taking them, and they can, if they can see it, why not? I mean, NASCAR, will take a car randomly and take it to their garage and tear it down and look for, little exploits and stuff. So what's the difference between that and, a guy win a race? You're not going to post it out for everybody to see, but iRacing could take a look at it and say, oh, this is way, way out of whack. We got to fix it. And then they'll fix it, and people will figure out how to, tweak the setup to make something else crazy happen. But it seems like the important thing is when they see something like this, get it fixed as soon as possible. Well, this looks like on this one, it's been going on for a while.
Well, the other big thing too is you can do whatever you want as long as you pass tech. You pass tech, you're golden. There's no tech after the race. There's no post-race inspection like in NASCAR.
Well, that's where I feel like iRacing could step in and see, like, hey, out of nowhere, say David Flowers just starts winning races like crazy. What's he doing with his setups? You know what I'm saying? Like, there should be outliers in the statistics of certain drivers improving and gaining really quick, or just anything of that nature. Anything that just stands out. I'm surprised they don't, or maybe they do and they just don't say it.
Maybe they do, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, I would be curious, like, to see when you see somebody on the timing board 2/10, 3/10 quicker than everybody else at an open race, they have to be like, hey, what's this guy doing different? Not that it's wrong, but just for them on their back end to know to catch these things before they become public knowledge.
The good news is this is public knowledge now. So thanks to Keegan Leahy for bringing it out. Thanks to John Hammer John is putting up sets. Now he's been doing this the whole NIS season so far, but now he's doing it purposely, putting up max camber sets for anybody in the forums to download and use. And he's doing it to help level this playing field. So the little guy who doesn't know what he's doing with setups can actually participate and be at the same speed and fall off as everybody else. And so kudos to John for doing that. I think that's very noble for getting that information out there. And kudos for John for finding this problem 3 years ago, but too bad they didn't fix it then. Pretty crazy stuff. Superset. So that's the new keyword. All right, Chris, you want to try the next one?
Yeah, so it looks like we have the first iRacer to win with 0 laps led, and this comes from the forums from a post by Daniel Shirley. Looks like he raced a couple weeks ago, and one night he was racing the C fixed race with the trucks, and I'll just read what he wrote here. He said there was a large accident with about 4 to go that I was caught up in. I made one more lap under yellow, and the engine blew on the back straight. I towed back to the pits, and while the field paced around on yellow and the race finished, my pit stall was in the first one past the start-finish line, so I could account for this. In the results screen, I was shown as finishing 11th, which would have been correct. However, on the results page through the website, I was shown as having won the race, receiving 106 I rating, with an entire lap on the closest finishers, and disconnected status. So it also appears to show everyone completed 26 of 30 laps, with me completing 27. So something clearly went wrong here.
That's crazy. I mean, he won the race as disconnected.
Yeah, that's nuts. And you can see some crazy things that happen. I wonder if this happened. He said it was a large accident with 4 to go. I wonder if this was on a restart, because I know you see a lot of crazy things happen if a caution comes out before the field can get across the line.
Right.
It seems like it would be really weird if a caution just came out while they were all running around and this happened.
Yep, they got something broken for sure there. So that is the first time I've seen that. He didn't lead a single lap, but won the race.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have posted that in the forums. I think I would have been quiet about it.
Well, they're not going to take it away, but yeah, pretty cool. All right, Tony, what's next?
Oh, we got some more iRacing versus real life comparison videos. They're you find them on YouTube from JBH, showing side by side comparisons of cars on track in real life. Um, a few that he's got up is the Audi R8 LMS, uh, Mount Panorama Bathurst, the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup at Spa, Mazda MX-5 Cup, the 2016 one at the Laguna Seca, and 410 Sprint car at Eldora. As well as the Gen 6 Monster Energy Cup car at Charlotte Motor Speedway,
Well,
and
these are
another
all
one.
the same video.
Oh, is it all in the same video? Well, there
Yeah.
you go. Boom. I didn't watch this one. Now I've watched some of these, um, side by side comparisons. Just not this particular one, but man, it's pretty wild how close this is. Now, I find, the biggest one is, obviously different advertisements on the track and stuff change, but other than that, I mean, really there is not a whole lot different.
Oh, yeah. The driving line, even the curbs, every little thing. The
Yeah,
elevation.
yeah. Now, even like there's one that I was watching, like the bumps in the road are like are matching up. Like, how crazy is it? This is silly.
Yeah, pretty cool to watch. I always like watching these just to see how it compares and what does it look like. And I mean, if you just kind of look at it and you're not really studying it, you probably can't see the difference. Which one's real, which one isn't.
I actually couldn't tell the difference when I first load up. I actually thought he has the sim on the top half and then the real life on the bottom half. The bottom half was a little washed out, and when I first looked at it, I thought the iRacing was that bottom one.
Right. Yeah, it's uncanny how it looks.
Well, I mean, going back to when I first got into iRacing, and I was checking things out, and I actually watched a broadcast of the Peak Antifreeze series, and I'm laying in bed with my wife, and I pull up the tablet and check it out, and I'm like, I don't know if I'd signed up at this point or if it was just after I'd signed up to iRacing, and I mean, from that point there, I was absolutely blown away with the quality and the production. I was like, this is just like watching NASCAR in on TV. And then when you get to see these side by side comparisons, it really shows you how well these guys have done with this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out this video, y'all definitely should. I've seen a lot of comparison videos before, but they're usually just one car. But with the 6 different cars, he runs all those, and they're all running a lap, and it is ridiculous. Just like Mike said, how much. I mean, it's every corner, every apex. They're almost identical. It's not all that impressive at some place like Charlotte, but all the some of these road races, it's pretty insane.
He even took the time to put it in like the right weather conditions. So I think like the last one at Sonoma, there's fog in the sim and there's fog in real life. So they put a lot of effort into this one.
Yeah, search YouTube iRacing VS Real Life Comparison 2018 and check that out. It's from somebody called JBH. All right, I'll take the next one. Another YouTube posted up by YouTuber Dude Conrad. him and Tony Stewart racing side by side for the win, a car at Tally and hosted. And pretty darn cool. I watched this, and at the very end, it's Tony and three other guys basically racing for the win in the last couple laps, and they're mixing it up pretty good. And even coming down to the checkered, they actually touch doors a little bit, trying to outrace each other, and then Tony comes on the radio after the race is over and talking smack and telling him congrats and all that. And it's pretty cool. Pretty darn cool to be racing Tony Stewart.
What an experience that'd be, to be able to do that. And I can't get over this guy's name, dude. That's just awesome. Love it. But to be able to like bang doors with Tony Stewart, I mean, come on. It don't get any better than that.
And he literally did bang doors with him, so.
Yeah, I think it's just really cool when I'm on the track with some of these guys. I couldn't imagine beating one of them. That's got to be just a thrill of a lifetime. I bet he was sweating.
Yeah, pretty cool.
He leaned down on Tony coming to the line, and like the first thing Tony said, like right after they crossed the line, was like, "Hey man, good race." So, yeah, that's got to be one of the coolest feelings in the world, right there.
Yeah. So always having these real NASCAR drivers and people on the sim, and like we saw Christopher Bell earlier today, and here's Tony Stewart racing Tally hosted stuff. So pretty cool. All right, Will, what's next?
So we got a forum poll. Mark Pitford posted up on the forum, would you race an open instead of fixed if we had a Saturday slot? And the results came in, 70% of people said yes, with a total of 40 votes, and 30% said no with 17 votes. So just looking to kind of tweak the schedule. I think people, from my experience, seem to prefer open. So I'm thinking hopefully soon we get an open on a Saturday.
That will be good, because I can't do Fridays, and it seems like they do Thursday or Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday for fixed, and it seems like you get 4 shots for fixed and only 3 for open. So I'm glad they're evening that out.
And it makes sense too. I mean, most people have a real job, have Saturday, Sunday off. I mean, I'm an oddball that gets a Tuesday, Wednesday off, which works great for the podcast. But for all those people out there who just work a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, they don't get as many opportunities, and to be missing one of those on the weekend of all times is just kind of odd. I don't run enough NIS, and I probably should run more, but I wasn't aware they didn't have an open slot on Saturday. But now that I do, it's like, well, why not? Like, that's when people can race.
I voted no on this. I mean, I don't have any skin in the game because I work on Saturday, but I vote no because it's always been that way. I mean, this NIS schedule's been in place for years, guys. And this is just somebody wishing they would change it. It's not mean that's going to happen. It probably won't happen, would be my guess. But it is interesting to see that people are asking for it. I don't know the reason why we never had an open on Saturday, but that's the way it's always been.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I think I would probably vote yes on this one. I mean, yeah, it seems like for most people, Friday night's the most available time to race, and I don't know what we have going on Saturday nights that they're trying to not interrupt. I don't know if, when NIS started, there was something else going on Saturday nights that they didn't want to take participation away from, and it just stuck. I don't know. There's not really much going on Saturday nights, at least not from, the NASCAR side.
Well, even if they did it for Saturday, it wouldn't be Saturday night. They'd put it at like noon or 1 in the afternoon, because that's, I mean, hell, the open on Sundays is at 10 in the morning.
Well, they already have an NIS race Saturday mornings. Or I think it's around
they do,
two.
That's fixed.
Yeah, they're both fixed. There's one real early, and then there's one later.
I wonder if that was a mistake at one point, and they just kind of left it. Like they were going to do one open, one fixed, one open, one fixed, and somebody's to hit fixed twice. And I'm like, hey, let's keep it.
I think that early Saturday fixed was really there for the Europeans because of the time. And I don't know if they didn't have enough fixed slots, but I think that's the reasoning behind it, to tell you the truth. Now I'm thinking about it. But anyway, moving on, I'll take this next one because it's kind of a long one, but I'm going to make it short. Hardware, software. Some more information about the FPS bar and the Q bar. And one guy posted up, Randy Cassidy from the staff, about the Q bar. He gives us more detail. He says from the left to the center bar measures packet loss from the server to you. And if you see it on the right to the center bar, or right to the center bar, or center to the right, I guess I should say, that measures packet loss from you to the server. And so when you see that Q thing, if it's on the left side or the right side, means different things. So left is from server to you, right is from you to the server. So remember, traffic goes both ways. And when you have a Q bar problem, it can be one way or the other or both. And so when you see the whole Q bar lighting up, that's both, obviously. So I don't know if you guys knew that.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty fortunate. I don't have enough issues with the sim as far as connection goes that I've ever even had a look. So thankful there. But at least now I know if I do have issues to glance up at it. And if it's on the right, it's your fault. That's what I got from that.
Yeah, and then another tidbit on the S bar, S is in Sam. The S bar is measuring if the clock of your sim is in sync with the clock of the server. It can get out of sync if the physics can't keep up, or if the graphics are dropping below 60 frames a second. That can stall out the physics, or if you have any other sort of network issue, either on your end or somewhere out there in the internet. And so when you see that S bar moving, that means your computer's not keeping up with what the server is. You know, the server's going 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, and you're going 1 second, 2 second, 3 second. You know what I mean? You're out of sync. You're going slower than they are. And that can be, you know, from a faulty computer, or you're running garbage computer, or bad graphics, or you have your graphics too high and you're not getting enough frames per second. It causes things to choke. That's what happens. Okay, Chris, you got the next one.
So it looks like iRacer Tanner Watkins popped up a forum poll. He was curious about what kind of setups people were running and ran a poll to see. And I was actually I was pretty happy to see this because I was curious myself. So it looks like a single computer modder, 26%, single television modder, 8%, double computer modder, 2%. Double television modder is nobody at 0%. Or actually, there is 3 people. There's 3 people out there doing that. It just came up as 0% on the poll. Running triples is 32%. Triple television modders is 1%. VR is 29%. And other is 1%, 6 people. I'd be curious to know what other is. That seems like he pretty much covered everything here.
So what's the big surprise? I think triple computer monitors is leading. I think that's surprised me. I thought it would be single, but most people have triples according to this poll. And then I think the other surprise, virtual reality, in a close second. I mean, 29% are on virtual reality now. That's almost a third. I had no idea. I was thinking 10%.
You know, I feel like as time goes on, as the single computer monitor shrinks because people change, I wouldn't be surprised to see VR grow, because I was actually looking at triple monitors. And right now with the sales on VR, it's cheaper to go VR than it is to go triple monitors. Now there's obviously pros and cons to each. But I almost bet you if they ran this poll in a year or 2 years from now, I wouldn't be surprised to see VR tie, if not start to surpass triples.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
I agree.
2 or 3 years from now, that's what I plan to be on is VR, and for that, just the reason you said it's cheaper. It costs more to go out and get the 3 monitors plus kind of the way my setup is now. If you get I can just sit in my chair, stick on the headset, and be good to go. Whereas with the triples, I mean, I'm gonna have to set up a rig in a different room. I can't do that in my living room.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of differences. I agree. I think virtual reality will be the leader in this poll in the not distant future. So a lot of people voted too, 668, which is quite a bit for a forum poll.
Yeah, I'm really curious what other is. I think that was just people trolling.
Yeah, right.
Well, what about a projector, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
projector.
Yeah, that could be.
now what you need on there is triple projectors, right? See what I'm
People
saying?
have them.
Yeah.
I've seen people in the forums that have them. So
Yeah, I saw one on Craigslist the other day. The guy wanted like $1,500 for the whole setup, but it was like a rear projector, and it basically made like a 180-degree screen. It looked really cool, but that's next level right there.
all right, Tony, next topic.
Oh, I'm sleeping a little bit. Max car settings in the graphics tab. So it's a post from David Tucker, and um, I guess somebody was asking, is there a way to test what the max car setting could be? So he says we support up to 63 cars, maybe 62 now in a session. Used to be 64, but the ghost car takes up a slot. Out of the box, we set it to 20 cars, and it can go as low as 10. This setting controls not only how many cars are rendered, but what data we send you from the server. So if you set it lower than the max cars in a race, you will lose cars in the replay. We optimize things to prefer sending cars close to you so that you don't notice them blinking out when driving. And as you already figured out, doubling the number of cars transmitted can have a negative impact on performance. Also, somewhere on the website is an option to set your network bandwidth. If you want to bump that up, if you increase the max cars so that we have enough space to send high quality information about all the cars. Um, yeah, I didn't know well, I guess they'd have to support up to 63 cars, but man, that'd be taxing on your computer. I know before I built my computer, I think I set it to like about 10 or 15 cars just so uh, my little crappy laptop could handle everything properly.
Well, that's the lesson here is if you have a crappy computer, this is what you do is you change it to 10 or 20 cars, and you don't put it on 63. Now, I think I have mine on 63, but if you ever have a problem where your computer's not keeping up, that'd be one of the first things to look at,
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say I think Joel Real Timing requires you to have it set to 63, which is why I run it at 63.
I see.
But when I bumped that up, I had to lower other settings to offset it to keep my frame rate steady. So.
And don't forget about the network bandwidth setting too. I really think it's a good idea for everyone to have that on the highest setting. I'm not sure what you get if you put it on something lower.
Where is that?
It's on the main website. It's under the settings or the gear, I think it is, in the upper right.
It's not in the sim itself?
Oh no, I'm mistaken. The amount of cars, no, that's the app INI, right, Will?
You can access it through the graphics options in the sim.
Oh, so you can do it in sim, but you can do it in the app INI too.
Yeah, you can do it there, but I believe when you're on like the press room page or the home page, when you go under settings, that's
that's where you do the network thing.
I believe so. I remember seeing that somewhere. And if I'm not mistaken, it was like a high-low option. There wasn't anything as far as details.
Yeah, I don't know where that is now that you mention it. It used to be there.
I just changed this the other day, and now I can't remember where it is because I actually did go to the settings page and it's not there. But yeah, it kind of gives you options as to what your internet speed is, and the default option was pretty low. I think it was like I can't remember. It
It
was
says like
almost $1 speed.
DSL, cable, T1, you know.
And yeah, I wish I could find that now. Like I said, I just changed it this week.
It might be under my account, but let me look. Anyway, yeah, check that out. Like Will said, you can probably do it in the sim itself if you need to change it. But okay, let's jump into final topic. I'll get it. Guess what? Friday Dirt Night, Mitchell DeJong did not win because he did not participate. And so we have a new winner for the first time. Johan Harth claimed the victory at Iowa. So good job, Johan. And Mitchell DeJong is finally thrown off the hill.
I was so hoping you were gonna read who he was trying to hold off. I'm not even gonna try that. I just butcher that name, but um, yeah, finally someone else to talk about with the GRC race. Oh, aye, good on Johan Harth.
Yeah, and with the upcoming GRC Pro Series, hopefully he'll give those guys a run. All right, let's get into final thoughts. Chris Scales, what do you got?
Not much, just ready for Phoenix. So this is my first time there and having fun so far. I've really enjoyed the tracks where you actually have to drive and you're not just holding the gas wide open most of the time. And also, you were right about that setting. It is under your account. If you go all the way to the bottom of the screen, that's where you could change that setting. And yeah, I think by default it came up as a 128K cable, which is way slower than what I have. So if you haven't checked that out, you might want to do that.
Yeah, I found it. It says 128K or faster, 256K or faster, 512K or faster, or 768K or faster, or 1 megabit per second or faster, which is the fastest one. And that's where I have mine.
Yeah, I think most people should have that by now, at least a megabit.
Yeah, I would say that's a smart move. So go on the website, click on account, look under preferences. There's a drop down. Good job, Chris, finding that. David Flowers, for your final thoughts.
Just ready for Phoenix and gonna be testing out the Audi more at Le Mans to get a feel for it and see how it goes. That's really
Sebring?
it. I'm trying to get a fourth driver. It's looking like it's a 50-50 shot, so we'll see.
All right. We'll see if you run that. That's this Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck. I have to work, so. All right. Tony Gross, final thoughts?
Yeah, bit of a bummer week for me. I love racing at Vegas, and I just real life getting in the way, man. And some weeks that just really sucks, especially if you're losing out at a track like Vegas. It's a fun track to drive. Not so looking forward to Phoenix. It's probably one of my worst tracks, minus the road courses. Um, man, I just always have a hard time coming off of turn 4. But hey, it is what it is. I'll put my happy face on and that I can actually race this week. So looking forward to that. Um, yeah, and I just want to say to Chris, man, that was such a fun race battling you for that 9th place finish in that road to pro. I had to bring it up one more time.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, good run there. All right, William Gibson, final thoughts?
Not a whole lot here. I'm just excited to play around with this new build. Really looking forward to the next tire build. So it's like we just get a new build today and already looking forward to the next one. But no, I'm just really excited. I want to shout out David and Chris. Like, you guys have been driving phenomenal. I've been helping you a little bit. Not so much as helping Chris as much as David, but yeah, no, I'm happy to be part of the team. This has been a really, really good start to the season, and I can't wait to see how we finish it up.
Yeah. Well, very good. Yeah, speaking of the team, yeah, we're up to 14 now at Team Tifosi. Dave and I sat down and counted today. And that's about right where we want to be as far as how many people we have. So, and it's been fun watching people interact on the setups and everything. And there's a lot of positive vibes going on with the team. And Obviously getting people more involved in the podcast and the social media around the podcast. If you haven't noticed, we've had a huge new presence on Twitter at iRacers Lounge. So check that out. A lot of interaction going on. Thanks to Will for that. And Discord, we're on there now. We're on YouTube Live, and you name it. So check it out. As far as my final thought, happy for Phoenix. I kind of sucked at Las Vegas. I really couldn't pass people there. And we'll see what happens at Phoenix. It's usually like a caution fest. And if you can survive, you'll have a good run. And as far as this superset stuff and the Max Camber, boy, it sure made a busy week for content. And in fact, we have so much content, we did not go over everything today. So we're even talking about doing a bonus episode, maybe even tomorrow. So for you listeners out there, watch out. We might have 2 podcasts this week. So with that being said, we're out. See ya.